Hey team. In this video, we're going to be looking at word problems. I want you to make sure whenever you have a word problem, you're reading and annotate it, and that you make a key off to the side with the information that we have. So we're going to practice that today. All right, this says Lauren is baking cookies and the recipe needs 3/4 cup of flour. She makes 3.5 batches of cookies. How many cups of flour does Lauren use? All right, I know the recipe calls for 3/4 cup of flour. So this is how much one recipe or one batch would need. So one batch needs 3/4 cup flour. But she makes 3.5 batches of cookies. So makes 3.5 batches. We want to know how many cups of flour did Lauren use? All right, so we need to think about this. We know she's making 3.5 batches. So here's one batch of cookies, 2, 3, and then she has half a batch of cookies. Now, each batch requires 3/4 cup of flour. So 3/4 cup of flour here, 3/4 cup of flour here, 3/4 cup of flour here, and then 3/4 cup of flour here, but split in half because it's the half batch. I need to think about what operation is happening here. I know if the amount of flour I have is increasing, that means I'm either adding or multiplying. And I know if it's decreasing, I'm either subtracting one amount or subtracting over and over and dividing. I can see if I started with 3/4, but I am repeating the same amount over and over again, it's increasing. And since it's repeating itself the same amount over and over, that means we're multiplying. So we're using multiplication to solve this problem. We're taking 3/4 cup of flour and multiplying it by 3.5 batches. So I need to take a fraction times a mixed number. 3/4 is a proper fraction, so it's fine. But 3.5 is a mixed number, and we need to convert it to an improper fraction before we multiply. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, so we have 7 halves. Now I can go ahead and begin multiplying. 3 times 7 is 21, and 4 times 2 is 8. I have an improper fraction here, and I need to convert it to a mixed number before I finish. So I take numerator, 21, and divide it by the denominator, 8, to convert this to a mixed number. 8 will not divide into 2, but 8 will go into 21 twice. That's 16, and when I subtract, I have 5 left over as my remainder. But we're going to take our remainder and write it as a fraction in our answer. So we have 2 and 5/8. So if Lauren uses 3/4 cup of flour for each of her 3.5 batches, then altogether she uses 2 and 5/8 cups of flour. Let's look at another word problem here. This says Salvador puts up 4 posters on his wall. The length and width of one poster is 1/2 foot long and 2/3 foot wide. The question asks, what is the total area in square feet of all the posters he put up? All right, there's some key words here that help me already know what operation we're going to use. Keyword being area and square feet. I know square feet means we're finding area, and I know when we find area, we multiply. Now, I also know if I'm finding area with just these two dimensions, that would give me the area of just one poster. But he has 4 posters. So let's go ahead and put all this information down. 4 posters. 1 poster is 1/2 foot long. Oops, let me write the dimension or unit foot. 1/2 foot long and 2/3 foot wide. We want to know the total area. All right, so I know a poster is 1/2 a foot long and 2/3 of a foot wide, but he has 4 of these posters. The first thing I need to do is solve for the area of just one poster. Then I need to take that amount and multiply it by 4 because he has 4 of those posters. So let's go ahead and work this out. First, we solve for area of one poster. I know area is length times width. We know the length is 1/2 foot long and the width was 2/3 foot wide. So when I multiply, we've got 2, 6. That is the area of just one poster. Now we're going to find the total area. We're going to take the 2, 6 area of just one poster, and we can either add it by itself 4 times, or we can just go ahead and multiply that by 4. But before I multiply by a whole number, I got to remember that the whole number has to have a denominator of 1, and then I can multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. 6 times 1 is 6. This is an improper fraction that I now need to convert to a mixed number. So we do that by taking numerator divided by denominator. 6 goes into 8 one time, and I write my remainder as a fraction. So the total area of all 4 posters is 1 and 2/6 square feet. Let's look at another problem. This says Desmond has half a pizza that he wants to share equally among himself and 3 friends. We want to know how much of the pizza each person will get. All right, so we know he starts with half a pizza. He wants to share among 4 people because it's himself and 3 friends. We want to know how much pizza each person gets. So first thing I have to do is figure out the operation. There's a key word here that already tells me what we're going to do, and that is where they say share equally. I know if I'm sharing something equally, I'm probably dividing. So we know we're using division here, but the way we write our expression is important. The starting number has to be the thing that we're splitting up. So we got to think, what are they sharing equally? Well, it said Desmond wanted to share the pizza equally, and we have half a pizza being shared equally among 4 people. So our expression is 1/2 divided by 4. So we have fraction division here. I remember that when we have to divide fractions, we need to use the multiplicative inverse. And we can get that by following the steps of keep, flip, change. So When we use keep, flip, change, we're going to keep the first number the same, 1/2. We're going to change the operation to the inverse, multiplication. And then we're going to flip the second value to its reciprocal. The reciprocal of 4 is 1/4. Now we're going to go ahead and finish multiplying. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 4 is 8. So each person will get 1/8 of the pizza. One last word problem. This says Brianna practiced her violin for 2/3 of an hour. So Brianna practiced for 2/3 of an hour. Her sister practiced for half of the time that Brianna practiced. We want to know how long her sister practiced. Well, let's write out the information we know about how long her sister practiced. It says she practiced for half of the time Brianna did. So we're finding half of the time that Brianna did. Well, let's look back at the problem. How long did Brianna practice? Brianna practiced for 2/3 of an hour. So we can plug in the number 2/3. We want to solve for half of 2/3 of an hour. Anytime I want to find a part of another part, we are multiplying. We're taking a half copy of 2/3 to solve. Half of 2/3 gives us 2/6. So her sister practiced for 2/6 of an hour.